Now, the Venezuelan government has accused Donald Trump of launching warlike threats and violating international law after he announced a blockade of sanctioned oil tankers in and out of Venezuela. Venezuela is on the northern coast of South America and is home to the largest oil reserve in the world. Oil is the Maduro government's main source of foreign revenue, with profits from the sector financing more than half of the government's budget. In a long post written on social media, President Trump said the US military build-up near Venezuela would only get bigger, and also described the government of Nicolás Maduro as a terrorist organisation. His comments come days after US forces seized an oil tanker in the Caribbean, Nicolás Maduro calling that an act of piracy and accusing the US of plotting to overthrow him to take Venezuela's oil. Well, let's speak now to Venezuelan lawyer and associate fellow at the International Institute for Strategic Studies, Mariano de Alba. Very good to have you with us. This is yet another escalation. What is President Trump's motivation?
Well, Lucy, thank you so much for the invitation. I think that it is clear by now that the main motivation behind this military buildup and these threats that we saw last night by President Trump post in Truth Social is basically, this is a campaign pressure to try to get rid of the government led by Nicolás Maduro. That pressure has not been enough for now. There's even information that it has served partially to produce more cohesion among the forces that are still supporting Nicolás Maduro in country. And this is clear when all this started in the months of September. Many people thought that we were going to see fairly quickly military action inside Venezuelan territory. This has not happened. I think that by now it's clear that there is a lot of reticence both in Washington and also in the U.S. military to escalate militarily within the country. So we are now seeing the alternative, and the alternative is the so-called blockade on oil-sanctioned vessels and tankers.
So just to clarify, Mariano, you think that this is actually giving more support to Nicolás Maduro right now? Because why? Because it's reinforcing the narrative that the Americans are just after Venezuelan oil?
Yes, partially that could help Maduro. Obviously, Maduro does not have the support of the majority of the people. He's in a very weak situation after committing electoral fraud last year when he lost the presidential election. But basically, what this, for example, this announcement that we saw yesterday by President Trump, it basically gives credence, it gives legitimacy to what has been the narrative of Chavismo and of Maduro for many years, which is we are against the empire being the U.S., and the U.S. wants to get rid of us because it wants to have access and get our oil.
But Mariano, what would be the effect, though, if this blockade actually happens? I mean, the economy relies so much on oil. Surely this would be devastating for the economy and for Maduro.
For sure. If this happens, and before this announcement, it was already announced by U.S. officials that they intend to seize these oil tankers. It's going to have an economic impact because basically the oil revenue is at least partially used by the government to tinker the economy, and if they don't have that revenue, we are not looking to more inflation in Venezuela, but also perhaps a new wave of scarcity, as we saw in the past some years ago.
Mariano, can you explain why President Trump demands always from Maduro that he hands over what he calls stolen American oil?
It's unclear because actually obviously the oil belongs to the people of Venezuela. One can only suppose that he's referring to the latest wave of oil nationalization carried out by the former President Hugo Chavez around the year 2007, where he nationalized some assets, and obviously those companies that were affected have initiated legal proceedings outside Venezuela, and now are owed by Venezuela and by PDVSA, a state company, huge amounts of money. It might be that. It might be also that he's referring to the first oil nationalization in Venezuela, which happened in the year 1975. So it's unclear, but it is obvious that the social media post by President Trump is not accurate in the sense that, one, the oil belongs to the people of Venezuela. The U.S. has no claim over Venezuelan oil, no logical claim, and also the post refers to Venezuelan land, and the U.S. has also no claim at all for Venezuelan territory. And this is the kind of, exaggerated rhetoric from a U.S. president that I think that Maduro and Chavismo will try to use to try to come out of this more cohesive, especially the association that they have, the partnership that they have, the government with the armed forces.
Really important to have that clarification. Thank you so much, Mariano de Alba.